doing today? Okay, good to see some familiar faces. Um, if you don't mind there in the chat, maybe drop in case I'm not familiar with where you're located, what exactly you teach or what school you're in.
Yeah, looking over the participant list, it looked like we had a good representation from different colleges, which is exciting. Because I definitely think that this is a tool that has a lot of different uses as far as assignments and different courses. So we're excited to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're adding your information in the chat, I'm Dr. Bill Thornburgh. I'm in the School of Education, and I'll let Anne introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Ann Eason. I'm an instructional designer and alum.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to work with Anne really starting last semester and through the IDC, and she helped me in the redevelopment of a course. And that's where she introduced me to Lucid. And I've been working with it quite a bit and revamping the original. It's an EDF 413 course, which is assessment and education. And because it was being developed for our new online elementary BS program, and it being only 7 weeks, I had to do a lot of work, and I had to really think about, how do I make this a more engaging course for students that I don't get to see on a weekly basis. And to me, that's a really important thing. And obviously, if you're here, it's important to you that you are engaging with your students in a variety of modalities that we deliver our courses. So that's where this project kind of originated, and I was so happy that Anne decided to jump on board and help me out because she really was the person who introduced Lucid. Um, so Anne, let's go ahead and let's move on. I think you're sharing your screen.
Yeah. Yep.
And just a couple of the things we're going to do today is Anne is going to take you through where you can find it, how you can activate it, as well as to kind of take us through some different ways that we can embed it within our assignments or our discussion boards. We're going to talk about how it's been used. I can tell you personally how I've used it. Anne can share how she has helped other professors to incorporate Lucid. We're going to look at some various assignments and discussion boards. And then at the end, we're going to leave some time to put you in some smaller groups to just toss around some ideas of how you think you could make your course more engaging and interactive, especially when it's an online asynchronous course, because I think those are the courses where we're always trying to find ways to really connect with our students and get them to connect. And so that's how we'll end the day. And then we'll do a little share out before we go.
Yeah, so Lucid is a tool that is already embedded in Canvas. So as you are learning and becoming more familiar with all things Canvas, this is a great tool to check out. It is really geared towards collaboration and engagement, which are important components of any course and any modality, but something that can be a little more of a challenge when it comes to the online space. So this is kind of a snapshot of what it looks like in Canvas, and you'll see some different ideas of how it can be used, but it's a really great tool for engagement. Think about having a whiteboard set up in your face-to-face classroom and how you would use that as a tool, whether you're allowing students to engage and collaborate in that space or you're using it just to deliver content. Lucid can be used in the same way. It can also be used for students to collaborate in smaller groups, for students just to share ideas, or for students to use it to engage with the content in some way. It has features for drag and drop or templates that you can use, lots of different ideas, and a really great space for them to engage, whether it's with each other, with you, or just with the content. And we've also included a student guide in the resources that you're going to get at the end of this presentation that will walk your students through how to use it. You'll find it in your navigation bar, and your students will find it there too. So it's really easy to access. It's already embedded. And you'll see here just some different ideas for templates that they will have access to, that you will have access to. A variety of uses, whether it's through a face-to-face course and students are working in pairs with these activities and with these things, or just in a totally asynchronous environment. And something else about the student guide before we kind of talk about more of the features and the potential uses. It's a really great idea to familiarize yourself with this tool, where to access it, and how to use it before students have that opportunity, and also giving them the opportunity to engage with the tool and practice it in a lower stakes environment before they're graded. So letting them walk through the student guide, or letting them post to an ungraded discussion board or ungraded collaborative space before moving on in the course, just to kind of build their confidence and familiarity. So there's a help guide linked here that, again, you'll have access to after this presentation. But when it comes to Canvas, when you're in your Canvas course shell, you'll find it under the settings menu on your left-hand navigation bar if it hasn't already been enabled in your course. So you'll be able to click on that on the left-hand side, and then find the navigation element across the top, and then enable the tool. That way you can access it, students can access it, and you can start building those templates and boards and different things that you want students to use. It's also really easy once you have your resources built. Lucid can be integrated into any page if you want students to collaborate and share in that space in an ungraded space, or it can be added to any assignment. So students can work in small groups, they can have their own template or their own copy of something that they're submitting, and we'll take a closer look at that as well. But again, it's already embedded in Canvas, so it's super easy just to add to any page or any assignment from that Lucid tool.
Yeah, and I will tell you that what I did recently is I took that student guide and I put it right as one of the very first things that students needed to go through before moving on. I tried to make it as clear as possible that they needed to look at it. They needed to create their account using their EKU email, and then to familiarize themselves with it, because we'd be using it throughout the semester. At 37 students, I've only had one student reach out who had an issue. And after we did a little bit of troubleshooting, it was more of just a minor mistake on their end, which was quickly fixed. So again, I think that, we all think about how we can engage our students, and how we can get them to work together. After this tool was introduced to me, and some conversations I had with Anne, is I really just felt like the traditional discussion board that we always use, like especially like going back to Blackboard, just very boring. Students were kind of just picking maybe the first person that they saw the classmates post and responding to it. I don't really think that they were ever truly like reading through like we expect them to. So it was starting to feel like, for me, very stagnant and very just task completion. So when I tried Lucid out for the first time in my summer course, um, even though it was a small group, I really felt like they worked together. So it felt more organic and a natural, like they're working together to get answers to these questions and to pose questions to each other. So it really does provide a greater opportunity for collaboration than a traditional discussion board. Um, in terms of some of the assignments, I've created some where the students actually work together to complete an assignment together, right? So it is collaborative. Of course, you can set up assignments to be individual and they submit individually or in small groups, or even in larger groups. And so if they're being engaged and it's collaborative, it's going to be a better learning experience. And to be quite honest, I think a better experience for us as professors in reading what it is that they're working on and producing as a group. And then, of course, like when you're able to get them together, you see the engagement, right? You see better products. And so it can be used in any face-to-face, asynchronous, or synchronous online. Um, I will be trying it out with my 413 class in a face-to-face setting where I may send them off and have them work on it as a group throughout the week. And then we'll come back and we'll look at it. And I do think that that'll be a valuable assignment to do. Um, Synchronous online, I'm struggling with how to use it because I have 3 different Canvas shells with 1 student each at the moment, right? So I haven't been able to envision what that would look like. But assuming that your courses are merged and that you have the kids in 1 Canvas shell, I do think it would help make connections between those you have in the room and face to face versus the few that you may have in that online environment. Sometimes I think we get stuck with who exactly are we talking to, the ones here are the ones there, and we don't ever want to leave anybody out. So we could provide a platform where those 2 different groups can come together and work. And then obviously the online asynchronous, this is a really great way because we're never going to see those students. They're likely never going to see each other. And this really does bring them together. And so this is an example that Anne had brought in from another professor that she worked with. But if you're someone who ever does assignments like collaborative note taking, small group work, you can see here that there are questions, and then the students they can choose the color sticky note. It puts their name on there, so it's easy for instructors to come in and kind of do check-ins to see who's participating and who's not. And if you go to the next example, where if you created a discussion board, now you can start to see more of these arrows where students are reading something that tickles their fancy, and they say, I'm going to respond to this, and they can draw an arrow and say, this is built off of this comment I saw from one of my peers. It looks a little crazy, I know. This particular class is big, and what I did was I just divided them in half, so it's about 17 or 18 students per group. And seeing how it's turned out, this is so much better than those traditional discussion boards of the past. I'm able to go in and really kind of, especially when there's multiple, you can see there in the middle column, the top left, there are a lot of connections with that one comment. So I can go in and I can pull and say, what is it about that comment that was getting students interested in wanting to reply? I think, though, what I would recommend to you is that you do it in smaller groups. Maybe get it down to 10 or under per group. It would require just a little bit more upfront work from us to create a copy of it and to set it up within Canvas. But I mean, we're talking just like 1 minute or less to do that, right? It's not a lot of time. But the students I've been very happy with how discussion boards have turned out.
And
And
one
then,
thing, oh, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Ann.
One thing I do want to add is I really love how in this example of the discussion board, you can see the connections that students are making. So in a lot of discussion boards, as I've seen in the past, students reply to their peers and they say, I agree, or good job, or something like that, which is great positive feedback, but may not be the best way to reflect on the concepts that they're learning. So I think seeing those connections and kind of seeing the personal and course connections that are made within just one prompt is really cool. And it also visually kind of draws your eyes there. So instead of looking at your post in a linear fashion, students can see, oh, a lot of people are agreeing or connecting with this idea. Let me take a look at that one. Maybe they have a connection and something to add. Maybe they don't, and they continue reading and kind of have a wider experience.
And that is a fantastic point. Thank you for adding that. We do typically ask for like you know, substantive comments from them, right? Like, I agree is not good. It doesn't really do anything. And you can see here, all, you know, I know you can't read them, but none of these sticky notes say, I agree, or great comment, good job. They're really building off of and adding things of value to this conversation. If we look at the next one, if you're familiar with doing a jigsaw activity, it's real possible to do that here, as well as you could do concept mapping. This is a link you can click. I noticed we have a number of like nurses and mathematics in our chat. And when you click that concept mapping link, it actually is through Lucid, where it gives examples from various fields of how like nursing education has used concept mapping and how the sciences have. And it would be a really good one to check out. But, you know, this is where you could have groups which go into smaller groups, which come back together. And the students essentially all have their own whiteboard, and they can take their expert groups and their home groups, and they can really build knowledge together, where an individual doesn't have to do all the work, but as a team, they do the work and they bring it back together like a jigsaw, and they put the pieces of the puzzle together. So that's a great way. And then, of course, concept mapping is a great, you know, it can be used as a pre-assessment. It could be used formatively, or even in some cases, you could even use it as a summative type assessment.
And in this example, the students were able to connect with their smaller groups and with the larger group with the class. So again, just having more connections with both personal experiences and the content to help them retain that information. I saw a question in the chat about grading something like this. If you are embedding a Lucid tool in an assessment, that'll automatically be added as an item in your gradebook. Something like a page, if you're just setting it up as a page for a collaborative space, you can just create another item in your gradebook that is unpublished so students can't see it, but then they still have their collaborative space. So I just wanted to make sure to mention that as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then lastly, and these are a couple of examples of assignments from my course where to the right, students individually can complete this. They can, none of these things are set in stone for me. So like if they don't, they could change the colors, they could change the size of boxes. It's just a whiteboard. So I'm giving them a general format and giving them some instructions on how to complete it. When they do, they it saves as a PDF and they upload it directly into Canvas. It's super nice because I don't have to worry about students trying to type in the answers directly into Canvas, or submitting a Word doc, or trying to add text boxes to a PDF, or even like send me a link to a Google Doc, which won't open up, right? Which is frustrating for all of us when they're submitting it in so many different ways. So this, they complete it, it comes to me as a PDF. They're all the same, and it's easier to grade. And then they're on the left, that's more of a drag and drop assignment, right? They're able to click those things at the bottom and put them up in the appropriate boxes. So it makes the assignment a little bit more engaging. And then, of course, I can add feedback directly to their assignments, or I can add it over into the notes section when I grade them. So these are just a variety of ways that Lucid could be used interactively and to increase engagement, collaboration. And so, Anne, we'll go ahead and we'll move on because I know we're getting close to wanting to let them brainstorm a little bit.
Yeah, so just a few things to keep in mind. I touched on this earlier, but making sure students have the opportunity to engage with this tool because it will likely be new to them if it's something that you want to use in the classroom before they're actually graded or have a higher stakes assignment. Also, as you're thinking about maybe revamping or cleaning up a course that's been migrated over from Blackboard, it's a good idea to keep like a master folder of all of your templates and assignments, or maybe create one as you're going. That way you can copy for each semester and then embed the activities as needed. So just some things to keep in mind as you're working with the tool. And then these are just some resources related to Lucid and Canvas and how you can get support from the IDC if you want to use this tool. And this will all be included in the folder that you'll get after this presentation as well. All
Yeah,
right.
so let's go ahead and I'm gonna pop you into some breakout rooms for just a handful of minutes and want you to maybe talk to each other and just go, okay, what did I just see? What do I think I could do with this? Could it be useful? And I know that this is just a brief introduction, but then we're going to bring you back and just kind of say like, okay, did you have any great thoughts on this? Do you think it's usable? And here we go. And Ann and I will pop in and then we'll bring you back in just a few minutes.
Hopefully we didn't close the breakout rooms in the middle of anything.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at time and we were in the middle of a really great thought. And Ann, you and I need to chat offline to see if it's possible.
Mhm.
I know we're at time and I know that you're also busy. Ann and I will let you know, Ann and I have considered maybe talking to Chris and offering a follow-up where we maybe actually go into Lucid. We use templates, we make adjustments, we create new so you could see how that works in real time. Because right now we're kind of just hoping that, we've got you interested enough that you want to get this activated and start to learn about it. But lots of very cool ways. I just heard a great idea. So I love it. Is there anyone that would love to share a great idea from your group? And there's a chat that you could address if
Yep, I just saw it. So activating Lucid, there will be a guide in the resources that are shared with you after this presentation, but it's just in the navigation bar. You'll just have to find it in your settings and then enable it. So it's already built into your Canvas course. There's nothing additional you have to download or add. It's just a matter of clicking a few buttons, and
I,
that
I
will be in your resources.
I did have to click sign up and then it kind of launched it for me just in case anyone
yeah.
wasn't sure.
Cindy, great question. It doesn't take long. I was able to take some of my original discussions, because I really liked the question, and then to just copy it, paste it in, maybe, surround it by a nice, pretty shape, gussy it up so it looks presentable. It's almost like you could set up your Lucid assignments to look a lot like a Word doc, right? Just black letters on a white page. Or you can use shapes and you can use colors and you can use arrows and you can really make it look fancy. So I think that there's lots of possibilities with it. I hope you're interested enough to try it out. And if you have any thoughts about it, or questions, I have tried and failed a number of times since May or June, whenever I started that first course. So I'm happy to kind of share the trials and tribulations. There's not many. And then Anne, I'm sure would be happy to help you out as well. And she's like on the back end where she's helped me to troubleshoot and give me ideas of how to do things better from an instructional design point of view. So
Yes, we learned a lot, in the first couple courses using it and still learning it, and learning how it best integrates with Canvas. But there are a lot of really great possibilities with the different features that it offers. So we definitely encourage you to take advantage of the tool.
yeah, and Shirley, I'm getting to the end of my 7-week asynchronous online, and that image I showed of the discussion board with all those connections and all those really great comments, I think they're doing a great job. I think it's really working, and it's taking those boring discussion boards where it's task completion and it's making them much better. It's really having them think and work together. And I hope that some of the comments in their course evaluations reflect the use of those Lucid discussion boards.
Yeah, I think that it kind of lends itself to more segmenting so that students can kind of focus on one task or one concept at a time, or making the connection or connecting with the original post. I do think it kind of has that built-in segmenting to help with the cognitive load for students too.
Yeah. We're a little over time. I'm happy to stick around if you want to see Lucid. I'm happy. I already have it open. I could show you what mine looks like, the folders I created, and why that's so important, which I learned the hard way. But Anne provided me with a good idea, so now I'm more organized. If you have to go, thank you for coming. It was great to see you. Good luck if you use Lucid, and then feel free to reach out to myself or to Anne. Have a great day. If you want to see it, stick around, and I'm happy to share my screen and talk to you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, thank you all for your time this afternoon.
I want to see it, Bill. I want to see it.
Okay.